for this demo, I will just take some minutes of the coffee break and show you a Splashboard and BioConnect tool that we developed in our AD4GD, and just for some minutes go through the functionality of both of these tools, which are actually pulling, aggregating data collected in the project in a user interface designed through end user, an iterative process with end users and gathering their requirements, and then pulling all this together into this tool. So the Splashboard, first of all, is combining data for small lakes in Berlin for the KWB partner in the project, which is a German partner in Berlin, Kompetenzzentrum Wasser, so roughly translated, probably Water Competence Center Berlin. And they are interested in monitoring all these lakes in Berlin that you can see on this map, which is the landing page for the Splashboard tool, a map of Berlin with markers for different lakes. The user can interact with this map and move through it, select the lake that he or she is interested in, and click on the lake to go to the lake's details page, which I will show in a minute. There's also a list on the right-hand side of lakes that we have now. Have collected extended data from Meteo or IoT data provided by KWB, and data provided through the geoportal Berlin, formerly FISBroker. And then the user can basically go through the map, go through this list on the right side, or in this search field up here, type in a lake. For example, I will type the Flughafen lake, so the airport C, basically. If I type that in, that will filter this list on the right. And the user can then quickly go to the lake of interest, which is a requirement because this tool is designed to accommodate the needs of local officials which want to monitor lakes that they are responsible for. So let's go into one of these lakes. For example, I am up here near to the airport. I am responsible for this lake, which is called Plötzensee. You can find it here in the list on the right side. I will click on the map, and this will take us to the lake's details page of Plötzensee. There are different widgets, so this whole tool is made up of widgets in these lake details pages. So a map widget, which again gives us different overlays pulled from the geoportal of Berlin. So WMS layers, which we can also pull the legends and information from. We can move through different layers that we are pulling from the geoportal Berlin. For example, here you can see that the Plötzensee here in gray is surrounded by public green spaces, and which you also find in the legend here, green as public green spaces, and there's a color coding for these residential areas, depending on how accessible public open spaces are in these areas. So the user can get a better overview of the surroundings of the lake also through this map, and then the central widget designed for the lakes is this lake statistics, which is actually being powered, so to say, by data, harmonized data in the MinIO data base, which is in Athos's backend for all data for GDDS. So for this lake, let's go to the end of last year, for example. So I want to see how the lake was doing over the turn of the year. So I can then input a date I want to look at, and then, for example, I want to look at the water level of the lake. I can see that the water level is very stable over this period of time. Now in a daily rastering, I can also go to a weekly or monthly rastering, which will change the aggregation of data. You can see here in the end of February, we have some misreported measurings because they are actually negative values, as you can see on the left. This sometimes happens and water level is being actively corrected. So it is still work in progress to correct this. So for now, let's see if we can exclude them to have a better overview. I think the 15th will be fine, or the 10th, there's still a value. And then we can see that through this time, there was actually a drop in water level for the Plötzensee. And then we might want to investigate, okay, is there an effect also in the water temperature? And maybe was it very hot in this period of time? So we can pull up different measurements that the user can pull up different measurements that we are taking from min.io and aggregating for the user here. And so the officials can look into the lake, how the lake behaves, and get an idea of what maybe policy decisions they have to take. And to get a little bit more info, let's move to another lake. I think the Halensee, which is located here in Berlin, we can take, because there's also an additional index that we are putting out. So the Earth observation trophic state and an Earth observation trophic trend. So this basically can directly in one index, which is developed by KWB, tell the user how biologically healthy that lake is and how this index is trending. So this lake is not in, so I say, not in perfect condition, but the trend for the index is going into the right direction. So as a public official in that area, I might have taken the right policy changes, maybe rainwater drainage or restricted traffic around that lake to have a positive effect on the water quality of this lake. And the thing I want to show here is there is, besides the lake statistics, where you can pull up all different information from the lake, we can also have a second widget at the bottom with lake predictions. So in this lake, I have a positive trend, but I'm still nonetheless interested in predictions on how my decisions or how environmental factors can affect my lake. So let's look into this month right now. We have the 24th of June. I'm looking 1 week into the future, and this lake predictions only affect the water levels. So Athos has developed a machine learning model which takes into account this water level measurements, which are done until, so which we put until 22nd of June. So that is the last reporting state. But now we can additionally pull 3 different machine learning models from Athos, which gives us predictions of how the water level of our lake behaves in high precipitation, no precipitation, or normal conditions. And let's just, for visualization purposes, tick all of these. And then, yeah, we get a legend pulled up and see, can look at all these different models. So you can see that our blue line ends at this 22nd of June, but the high precipitation model, for example, then predicts for us an increase of the water level if we get a lot of rain. But maybe now during summer, I am worried what will happen to my lake if there is no precipitation at all. The model now predicts that will have a negative effect on our lake, but not a very large effect, so to say. This is just a decrease from, I think, 91 meters to 90.2. So even if we do not have rain for a week, there's only that is then in the decision range of the official. So I do not know if a drop by 80 centimeters is critical for the lake, but the people actively involved and the scientists which can interact with these models, they can then say, okay, 80 centimeters is fine, or we should somehow take measures to prevent dropping of the water level this far. So this is basically the functionality that is given to the user in this. So we have lakes that we can pull from the landing page. We can go into the lakes details pages, have basically 4 widgets, a map to orientate ourselves, these water quality indices that KWB developed, a lake statistics, which pulls data from the MinIO aggregation and plots them into this into a singular plot, which we can also download as a PNG or as a CSV file in raw data, and then lake predictions, which pulls in the machine learning models. And to even more quickly organize myself, I can also add this, for example, as a favorite lake for me. Now it is added to my favorites, and if I go now into this tab, I will always be directly taken, for example, to the Hallensee. Maybe that is the only lake in my district, so that is only one way to make user navigation even more efficient in this tool.